In the beginning of the story, we see that there was devastation all around the earth. The buildings that used to kiss the sky once upon a time, were being destroyed one by one today. Now, there was nothing left in this city except for mulberry. And the reason for this was plants. But these were not ordinary plants. Rather, these 40, 50 feet long, wide plants had become a great threat to humans. Because they grew very fast. At that time, these plants had taken 80% of the earth. And, because of these, humans and animals were on the verge of extinction. About 2 years later, we see a little girl named Yuan, who was playing with her little dog in a jungle. Suddenly, her father Yang picked her up and started running towards his house. Actually, the sun was about to set soon and it was not safe to go out at night. But when Yuan's dog ran towards the jungle, she asked her father to leave her hand and ran after the dog. Now, Yang had no other choice but to follow Yuan. Here, Yuan's dog went in a strange direction. And while following him, Yuan reached the depths of the jungle. There was a very big plant in front of him which was surrounded by a net of mulberries, and it was shaking like a beating heart. There were corpses of many people hanging around it, and there were ferocious plants like snakes there to watch them. As soon as the plant smelled Yuan, she opened her mouth to attack Yuan. Fortunately, at the right time, Yang came there and saved Yuan's life. He picked up Yuan in his arms and ran away and went straight to his house. He quickly closed all the doors and lit UV lights in the house because plants stayed away from these lights. Finally, he breathed a sigh of relief. Now, Yuan was regretting a lot, because his father was also in such a big trouble because of him. And Yang forgave him and fitted a tracker in his car so that he always knew Yuan's location. Then he put Yuan to sleep and went to sleep himself. Then he had a dream. Many years ago when Yang was going somewhere in a car with his dead wife and Yuan. His wife was a scientist who was working on a special project in which she was trying to make new kinds of powerful tree plants. This was because tree plants were decreasing rapidly on the earth and a large part of the earth was becoming barren. Suddenly, he got an emergency video call on his laptop in which he was warning him about these new plants. At the same time, people around him started screaming and running away from their cars. So Yang also got out of his car. But by then it was too late because these ferocious plants had attacked humans. Suddenly, Yang woke up from the screams of Yuan and he immediately ran towards his room. His room was illuminated by UV light but still the ferocious plants picked up his bed and broke the ground and took him inside the ground. Then Yang remembered that he had put a tracker in Yuan's watch and he immediately packed his bag and set out in search of Yuan. He reached an old building behind the tracker where Yuan was sitting in a room. He was surrounded by plants from all sides and he was somehow saving himself with the help of his UV torch. But now his battery could have run out at any time. Then Yang threw his torch towards Yuan, after which all the plants moved forward to attack Yang. Finally, he used his brain to break a window which caused sunlight in the room and then Yuan got tired and fainted. As soon as the sun came, all the plants moved back because actually these plants were afraid of the sun. Now Yang was again dreaming of a few years ago and here the plants were slowly clinging to his body. Yuan tried to save him by pulling him but he didn't have that much strength. He was feeling very exhausted. But then suddenly a sharp blade cut through the plants and freed Yang. Actually, a small piece of the soldiers had entered there and they started fighting these dangerous plants. But their bullets and fire-breathing guns could not stop the plants for long. Here a soldier was trying to run the UV device but unfortunately it was not working. In a few moments, Yang regained consciousness and he started the device very easily. After which a very bright UV light came out of it. As soon as this light came, all the plants moved back and hid in the dark. Finally, the soldiers told Yang and Yuan that these plants have made their own net under the ground, which is spread far and wide. And because of that, only 2 days later there is going to be devastation on the earth. These were the soldiers of the joint forces whose aim was to find a device by which all the plants could be destroyed and human life could be saved on the earth. The building, in which they were at that time, used to be a research center before the terror of the plants. Now the soldiers soon found that regent device with which the plants could be destroyed. Then they gave the news to their headquarters. Now they had to take this regent to a launch station and use it on the roots of the plants under the ground. At that time, there were 140 such devices in the world. And to destroy the plants, they had to activate all the devices at the same time. Yang was feeling a little awkward in this plan. And then suddenly a plant came out of the ground and it broke the UV device in a single shock. At that moment, it was dark all around and they all made holes in the walls so that there was a little sun. In this rush, Yang saw that he and his daughter had separated from the rest of the soldiers. At the same time, the captain of the soldiers was also badly injured. The soldier named Limo was trying his best to stop the captain's blood. At the same time, a plant like a very big snake entered the room and started looking for his prey. Yang picked up an iron rod to kill him. But Limo stopped him. Actually, this dangerous plant could not be seen and only heard the voice and caught the prey. Now they picked up the regent and started leaving quietly. But Yuan accidentally bumped into a shelf. As soon as he heard his voice, the plant jumped to attack him. So Limo and Yang came to help him. But this plant was very powerful. It was not easy to stand in front of it. At the same time, the captain came in the middle and fired bullets at the plant with his gun. But it didn't make any difference. In fact, this plant left everyone and grabbed the captain. Limo came forward to help him, but it was too late by then. Because the captain had already removed the pin of his grenade. Suddenly, there was a huge explosion in which the captain risked his life and killed the terrible plant. From this explosion, Limo, Yang and Yuan flew and fell on the road where they found the rest of the soldiers. Fortunately, the regent had also fallen out with them. But everyone was very disappointed to hear the news of the captain's death. His engineer was also killed in this attack, so he asked Yang to come with him. Because he quickly fixed that UV device. But now Yang refused to go with him because now he and his daughter were safe. And for him, nothing was above his daughter's safety. Because in this world, he had no one but his daughter. But Yuan was not happy with this. She herself wanted her father to protect the world. Because if her mother was alive, she would have done the same. With these words, Yang's conscience arose and he joined the mission with the soldiers. When they were passing through the city, they got a signal from the other team in which only 2 words were heard. Green tide. At that moment, the ground began to burst and large buildings began to break and fall. Now their group ran in the opposite direction, but the green tide came in its original form and attacked. The green tide was like a powerful wave made up of many plants which was as high as these big buildings. This tide came out of the ground and destroyed everything. And whoever came in their way could not escape. Actually, this was just the beginning, because after the next 56 hours, the whole world was going to be destroyed by their terror. Here, Limu's group was running for their lives. But the road ahead was closed and the tide was moving towards them very fast from behind. That's when they ran through the big holes and finally entered a bus. As soon as the tide attacked them, they just flew away and collided with a distant building. Somehow they survived, but the common people outside were killed by the tide. Now the plants had calmed down, but the survivors felt that the destruction that was going to happen after 56 hours would happen much earlier than expected. They thought of delivering this news to the headquarters, but there was no signal there. Then Yang's eyes fell on a signal tower on the building in front, and there was a bridge between these 2 buildings. This bridge was in a very weak state, but they had no other way to cross it. Now they were moving their feet very carefully, that suddenly the building next to them collapsed in a moment. They survived, but when the building suddenly fell, soil started flying all around, which made Yuan slip. At that moment, the new captain of the team jumped behind him with a rope. Yang was trying to pull him up by holding the rope. But this rope was very delicate and could not bear the weight of both of them. Then the captain sacrificed his life to save Yuan's life. Now after his death, Limo was the captain of this mission. Yang somehow pulled Yuan up. But now the bridge was about to break. All the soldiers immediately ran into the building. And at the right time, Yang also came inside with Yuan. After this, Yang repaired the signal tower there. Then Limo spoke to his commander and soon he joined the 140 groups. At that moment, all the soldiers of this network received shocking news that the powerful group which was going to destroy the Earth after 56 hours was going to attack in just 4 hours. Along with this, they came to know that the roots of the plants in the ground which they were going to attack were protected by a special membrane. That means the plan which they had made to launch a regent in the first 140 areas would not be of any use. Now they would have to attack a special point of the membrane so that all the roots would be destroyed. But the biggest problem was that they did not know any such weak point. Till now, hundreds of soldiers had lost their lives in this mission, and it would not be right to end this mission. That's why Yang motivated everyone by giving a great speech. In the end, all the 140 groups decided to complete this mission, although their chance of success was 0.03%. Anyway, Limo and his team soon reached the launch station, where they put the regent in the machine so that he could destroy the roots of the plants. But what did they know that danger was lurking around them? A strong tide was moving ahead to attack them, and the regent was stopped by the membrane under the ground. On the other hand, all the other groups were also facing this problem. Now all the soldiers lost their courage, but then Yang came up with an idea. He said that the electricity of the launch station is made from the geothermal energy of the present volcanoes there. If they shut down all the tunnels of hot lava, then all the lava will gather at one place, and then that lava can easily destroy the protective membrane. But there was also a problem, because the connection of all the tunnels was cut off. So now they had to go there and destroy the control system of the tunnels. Yang promised his daughter that he would definitely come back, and then left with the rest of the team for this dangerous mission. When they reached the bottom of the ground, everything was burning due to the heat of the lava. Also, the plants were sitting in the tunnels in different places, due to which their way was closed. When they were trying to move forward, Yang suddenly got injured. Then one of his companions detonated a bomb there to clear the way, in which he himself was killed. Limo and Yang did not have time to cry, so they took the bomb and moved forward. Now a door came in front of them, so he asked Limo to open the door. Limo started looking for something to open it, but Yang quietly opened the door and went across and locked the door. Limo understood that Yang was going to risk his life, so he asked Yang to open the door. But Yang had already made his decision. He asked Limo to take care of Yuan and moved forward. At the same time, the ground began to burst on the ground because a very big green tide had started coming out, and everyone understood that now the time has come. On the other hand, Yang was moving forward with his injured leg. Suddenly a rock started falling from the roof, and now he was not even able to walk, but still he kept moving forward with the bomb. Finally, he reached the control system and he spoke to the rest of the soldiers. On the other hand, Yuan had already understood that his father is going to sacrifice his life to save the world. On the other hand, Yuan saw him and cried and asked him to come back. At the same time, the time of the bomb was over, and at the same time there was a powerful explosion in the tunnels, due to which all the lava immediately gathered at one place. Due to its intense heat, the safety membrane of the plants began to melt, and in a few moments, being a launcher, the regent was trapped in the net of the roots of the plants. Finally, all the roots were destroyed, and soon all the wild trees and plants of the earth also began to die. In the end, all the people left on Earth were very happy because the human population was completely safe from extinction. After that day, a new era began on Earth, and humans swore to keep the Earth safe. If you like the video, then like it and subscribe to the channel.